It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be discussing another DBD forum, which was actually recommended by one of you guys. So I would like to give a shout out to them and thank them for submitting this, because this is a pretty good forum to discuss. So shout out to Paragon Lord. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We're gonna get into this topic. We're gonna just kind of go from the top. Let's go ahead and give it a read. So it says titled, "Please stop telling survivors to learn how to loop." I already know this is gonna be great. So it says, which is apparently to Meg, it says, "This statement is starting to get so annoying. Quote, if killers are tunneling, you need to learn how to loop better." Yeah, like it's honestly the dumbest thing I have ever read in my life. Killers can still tunnel even if the survivor is really good. No. No. Let me put it this way. The reason that people say this, right? The reason that people say you need to learn how to loop better is because if you're not going down in like 10 seconds, the killer cannot gain any pressure. He cannot gain an advantage if you're not going down quickly. If you're going down after like, what, a minute, 2 minutes, that's over like, what, 2-3 gens that could just go off at once just because. Now, the fact of the matter is, right, they say that this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard because for some reason in their minds they can't fathom the idea of actually surviving as a survivor. Don't know why. Like, I don't understand why it's such a foreign concept to improve at the one thing you're playing at every single day. Like, that's kind of insane. They continue by saying they can just tunnel for literally no reason at all. I'm like, so then that's the second part of it. They have zero understanding of why it even gets done in the first place. Then they say tunneling out a survivor doesn't always mean they're bad at looping. Honestly, when most killers don't like a certain survivor, even if they did nothing to them, they will still tunnel them out. Which doesn't make any sense, because now this is the third aspect to it. They're taking it personally for some reason when nobody knows who they are. Like, nobody knows who these people are. Most of the, like, I will guarantee you there is like every single killer that's utilizing a strategy doesn't know who the hell you are, doesn't know who like what, like doesn't even care about what you're playing, what you're using. They are just playing the game like everybody else. But for some reason, they're taking it personally. And that's the thing that I don't understand. It's like, we are aware this is a video game, right? Like, we've never seen these people before. We've never met these people before. We've never spoken to these people before, but they're like taking it personally. And it's like, for what? I will never know. Then they say the way certain killers think will never make sense to me for real. So then that's your problem, right? Because the way certain killers think, maybe you should start asking critical questions and try to get a better understanding, right? Maybe we need a better understanding of that side, because I'm trying to go out of my way to get an understanding, to learn about what's going on, to try to get a better perspective on the points that I'm seeing here. But the thing is, they're not providing any good enough evidence or a good enough response to actually give us an understanding of what they're talking about, because all we're seeing is feelings, right? Which is, I feel like it's being personal, right? They can just tunnel for no reason, which is feelings, right? Most killers don't like a certain survivor when they did nothing to them. Like, they're making it all about feelings and it being personal, when it's like, and then when you see the response, it's logical. It goes, well, just learn how to play the game better. Because as a killer player myself, I understand if I can't down them quickly enough, I'm going to lose pressure. I'm going to lose my gen. If I lose my gens, that means that the game is going to end, which means I'm not killing anyone, which means I lose, right? That's literally how it goes. It's very easy to understand. If it's literally in the name, killer, that means you're killing. If you're not killing on killer, that means you lost. Like, that's the same way it's survivor. If you're not surviving, that means you lost. Like, that's like, I don't understand why that's such a foreign concept, but here we are. So let's read this. So it says that this may not be OP's point necessarily, but it's worth mentioning that, quote, just learn how to loop ignores the most fundamentally important part of tunneling, which is that it's not a regular chase. To beat tunneling with looping ability to the point where the killer is throwing to chase you, you don't have to be good in general. You have to be better than the killer by a very wide margin, because they're getting to start the chase with it tilted heavily in their favor. I would disagree with this, mainly because of the fact that, one, you have haste, two, you have endurance. So off hook, you're already gonna zoom off, and from that position, mind you, let me point out the fact that if you're on a hook, you can see where all your teammates are. You have the HUD. You can see what your teammates are doing, right? So if you're on a hook, you can literally look around the hook and go, if I were unhooked, where can I be healed from? If he comes back, where do I run to first? And then, like, while you're on the hook, you can literally just look down the hallway or look around the map and go, well, I was over there and they probably were chased there, so I might not be a pallet. I might have to go over here. I do have an exhaustion perk, so maybe I should try to, like, maybe run here and then use that vault over there and then try to make it over there to Shack. Like, why? Like, for some reason you're just like looking at the sky, you know, smelling the air, like, oh wow, this is so nice up here. Like, what are we doing on the hook right now? Like, what are we doing that's not thinking about, like, where you're gonna go next? Like, I don't understand it. So then they say you're gonna have to learn how to loop, but that isn't the secret trick to beat tunneling. It's a balance problem. No, it's not a balance problem. No, it isn't. Here we go with this guy again. This relies on too many variables to be considered a reliable form of counterplay. Here we go. You need to be significantly better than the killer. Huh? But wait a minute, that's a little confusing, because don't these people say that tunneling is a skill issue? Like, aren't they saying that, oh, you're bad if you tunnel? So doesn't that mean that directly states by the same logic that it's a skill issue on the survivor's end, right? Because if they're saying that they have to be better than the killer, doesn't that mean that, oh, I don't know, you have to be good at the game? Like, that doesn't make any sense, but hey. Then they say tunneling takes far less skill to pull off than it does to counter. No, no, I don't think that's how that works. Because in order to be tunneled, that means you need to be hooked. So if you're not being hooked in a substantial amount of time, either they have to A, look at the gen progress and go, well, I either can try to go for a brand new person, but I only have like 2 gens to go because 3 popped in the first chase. I'm gonna have to chase them again, but if that person was surviving long enough for 3 gens to go off, they're gonna lose the game anyway. So, like, it kind of boils down to, can the survivor hold their own? It's not really like, oh, well, it takes less go to pull it off. Like, the only reason you can pull it off is if they should go down in the first place. If they're not going down, they have to leave the chase. Like, what are you talking about? It says, now with the matchmaker being ass, this isn't so unlikely. Stop it. The map needs to be able to support a long chase. What are you talking about? The map needs to be able to support a long chase. So are we not aware of jungle gyms, fillers, main buildings, shack? Like, so now we're saying, oh, maps can't support these long chases. Like, use your brain. Like, you have a third-person camera. Like, are we really being so for real? Like, we have a third-person camera. Like, you can see the killer before they see you. Like, what are you talking about? There are numerous check spots all over the map. Like, what are we talking about? You can literally see the killer before they see you. Like, you can literally plan ahead and chase. What are you talking about? As if jungle gyms and fillers and every other tile on the map doesn't exist. Like, what are we talking about? Any maps even prior to the pallet updates are not capable of supporting long post-update. Most maps are lacking pallets or lacking safe. It's a skill issue at the end of the day. people have seen me play Survivor, dude. Like, I can still hold my own. And even if I can't, then it's like, who cares? It's just a game. I have to get better too. Like, it's fine. You need your teammates to both recognize the tunnel and immediately slam gens. Unless you're in a 4-man, the odds are massively against you. So now we're crying about solo queue. But my issue with crying about solo queue is that they say solo queue is bad, therefore nerf killer. It's like, no, like we should not be balancing around solo queue. Because if you balance around solo queue, you buff Swift. You don't need to buff Swift. They already have enough. Like, you don't need that. So the next best thing is ignore Swift. I mean, not ignore Swift. Ignore the solo queue complaints. Focus on the Swift overtune balancing, and then add in the quality of life to the solo queue that can be non-exploitable by Swift. So for example, a little wheel to put in text, be like going for save or need to heal or blah blah blah, like something like that. Put it in there into text so you can at least like give out a call out. And then if your teammates are still bad, that's not your fault. Like, that's just your teammates being bad. That has nothing to do with anybody but them. Or if you're the bad teammate, get better at the game. Like, it's that simple. So then they continue by saying, you actually need to be the one getting tunneled. Most killers, when they find someone who actually might loop them, they will leave and find someone else who can't. If that happens and they get tunneled, there's nothing you could do. So this directly admits that it's a survivor skill issue then, right? Because you're saying that, like, which you're saying most killers, when they find someone, they just leave. It's like, yeah, like Adoy, like, who the hell's gonna sit there and waste 30 seconds on a chase to not even get a hit? Like, that's a waste of time. Like, you're not gonna do that, you stupid. So like, people will go, well, at least for myself speaking, I could go, well, I'll invest like maybe 10 seconds. Like, oh, if I'm not getting a hit in 10, or I'm not getting a 99 in like 10 or whatever, or a resource in 10, I gotta move because I don't have time. Right? And of course you're gonna find someone who's in a bad spot, because that's just what makes logical sense to do, and it makes no sense. It's the same way that you can look at a 3 gen and go, these gens are a little close by, let's complete one so they're further spread out. Like, what are we like, why are we just sitting here like pretending that this stuff doesn't exist? Like that's the stuff that just blows my mind. Like, why are we pretending that skill just doesn't exist on Survivor now? Like, that, like, you can be good at Survivor, like, and that's one of those aspects. So it says, if you don't learn how to loop and survive the killer, not even the scrap buffs would have helped. The thing is it's not even hard to learn. You just need to know. Not mechanically difficult most of the time. You can even strategically hold W, and this will work very well against the majority of the killer roster. Thank you. Thank you. This is what I'm talking about. We have logical people that play Survivor here. It's not that difficult. I'm main killer. You've got anybody who's watched me has seen me on Survivor before. I'm a killer main, and I'm able to hold my own. Okay, so this person says, the point is that tunneling is far less effective if the survivor can actually loop. It takes too long to down someone who are constantly aware. Generally, the killer needs to rely on getting the drop on a stationary survivor doing a gen or healing or another thing to land a quick first hit. But if you are just chasing them constantly, they're able to run you for a long time. You might die, but the killer throws the match to get that one kill, which, mind you, it still boils down to a survivor skill issue at the end of the day then, right? Because if you are going down quickly, that directly adds to the pressure of the killers. Like, what are we talking about? And then this person says, I think, like, they responded by saying, I'm not saying that learning to loop is a counter. I'm saying that if you learn to loop, killers who tunnel you will more often than not lose the game by doing so, because you aren't spreading pressure, and you'll be able to last longer than 5 seconds against them. This is exactly my point as well. I completely agree with this. Like, the fact of the matter is, if you hold your own against the survivor, I mean, well, yeah, if you're a survivor holding your own against the killer, that means you directly are applying pressure onto them, because they're like, well, I can't stay in this chase, I have to leave the chase now. That means that they're not getting a down, therefore they can't get their slowdown, right? Pain res, pop, surge, eruption, all of these perks require you to get a down. So if you don't go down, then they can't get pressure from their slowdowns. Like, you're directly countering the thing that you hate. So, like, what are you talking about? And plus, I've seen people that counter tunneling before. Like, it's not that difficult. The games where I see tunneling work are games where the survivor goes down in 10 seconds into the chase. The games where it doesn't work are the games where survivor can loop the shack, forcing the 3 into vault, stunning at a filler, heading to a jungle gym, repeating the process, forcing the down to take 1 to 2 minutes each time. Exactly. So when you end up in like, and that's what happens with like lower level killer players. Like they just are most likely chasing for a long time because they don't really realize, or they ego chase. They don't really realize how to apply the macro correctly. Your argument boils down to bad matchmaking and a solo swift gap. There's so many factors you're ignoring. I agree. And this person is making a good, I think they might be making a good point. It says tunneling out of survivor doesn't always mean they're bad at looping, but survivors complaining about tunneling pretty much always does. I personally love getting tunneled, more thrilling than doing gens. I wouldn't queue for survivor at all if I was not expecting to be chased by the killer. I completely agree. Anytime I've ever played survivor, I've always wanted to just be in the chase. And the reason I don't play it is because I don't end up in the chase because of the, you know, which I'm not going to like, you know, grind out solo queue just so I can finally get chased again. Like it's a waste of energy and my time, especially because at the lowest MMR, which is where my survivors are at, I'm gonna get pretty much terrible teammates like they're complaining about. But that at the end of the day, it's not the killer's fault for my teammates being bad. Like, why does that matter that my teammates are bad if at the end of the day it's their skill issue, not mine? If I'm doing my job and I'm the one doing the gen, I'm the one surviving, I'm not the one going down, that means that I'm doing my job. So like, I'm healing them, I'm saving them, I'm doing whatever. If they go down, that's their fault. Like, that's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? Look at this nonsense. Look at this nonsense. If survivors should learn how to loop, then killers should just be told to learn how to pressure gens instead of relying on tunneling. So you see how they refuse to take accountability. They refuse. This is not about being fair here. We're talking about the mere fact that they're crying because they're going down in 5 seconds, which is their own fault. They chose to play survivor. They chose to sit on the gen. They chose not to run away. They chose to get chased at that point. At the end of the day, this is your own decision. You decided to play survivor. You're going to get chased at some point. That's just how it works. That's how the game functions. It's like you're playing. It's like in the other side of the coin could be you're playing killer. Like, man, I gotta kill survivors. Like, it's like, then just don't play the side. Like, what are you so concerned about, bro? And this person says tunneling is one of the most effective ways to pressure gen. So your point doesn't make sense. Exactly. So this person says, yeah, telling survivors to get good at looping, at least as a response to tunneling complaints, isn't realistic, nor is telling them to get good at looping when they have fewer resources to work with. What? The game is already designed. I gotta hold up, bro. Telling at least isn't. No, it is realistic. It is realistic. If you don't go down, or at least if you go down way like slower than the others, you're gonna automatically apply pressure. Just because solo queue your teammates aren't doing gens doesn't mean that, oh, now it's tunneling's the problem. Like, no, it's not. Like, your teammates are bad at the game. That's the problem. Like, you think about how Swift works. If you're in comms, right, and you're saying do the gens, he's on me, and he's still chasing you and chasing you and chasing you, and you're not going down because because maybe he's like making a lot of mistakes. Isn't that more time on the gens? So think about it this way, right? Like, you don't have to necessarily have Swift as the example, but at the end of the day, like, you're not going down, so therefore that means that's more pressure for the killer because they're gonna have to leave, and the time it would take for them to travel to find the next person is more time on the gen. Like, what are we talking about? One doesn't necessarily have to be bad at looping to complain. I can't even say when I stand on looping skill because I go down in 5, I run it for a minute. There are factors: who the killer is, how skilled the player is, which map, and how skilled either of us are on the map. I do keep the killer busy. Tunneling isn't fun. It's not fun when I'm dealing with the one being tunneled either. So that's just a personal preference thing, but that doesn't mean that tunneling needs to be removed as a whole because you prefer not to. It's like, to me, I enjoyed it. The other person in the forum said they enjoyed it. I would prefer to be chased because on the gen, filling a bar fill, watching a bar fill is not that interesting to me. Having to save and heal and save and heal and save and heal like all day long is just boring to me. I'd rather be the one in the action so I can see, like, do I know how to play? And if I don't, how could I have done better? That is my main focus. I'm not concerned with the gen, the healing, the gen, the healing, the gen, the healing, the healing, the gen, the save, the this, the that. Like, it's just that watching a bar fill all day. I want to do stuff that's engaging and interesting. Now, I'm not saying that I don't get on the gens at all. I will still do the gen because I have a HUD that tells me who's on them. So I'll just get on it to help the team. And if they decide not to do anything, I'll have to go out and say, hey, I did my job. I was on the gens. I did my objective. They didn't do it. They died. Like, it's not that difficult. This is the same reason why we see even like Japanese players having the highest escape rates in solo queue and Swift. They have the same exact escape rate. I think it was at 44% or something like that, or something higher than that. They escape a lot more for solo queue and Swifts because they understand how to actually play the game, unlike apparently the West. So let's see. Everything is like less effective if the survivors know how to loop. It's axiomatic. It's going to be harder to win if they are good. Like, yeah, obviously. I agree. If all survivors are good at looping, tunneling is still going to be the most effective strategy because other survivors can't just be hit off the hook. Will have 2 health states, can pre-run. It's the only if the tunnel target is the best looper on the team that it would be disadvantageous to engage in. And they love to say instead of relying on tunneling like it's some kind of like exploit. Like, honestly. So this person says, one thing I've learned over these last few months is that there are lots of players who believe they've achieved massive win rates despite playing a game that they think is rigged against them, and asking for any improvement from the killer is forbidden. Which is interesting. So let's see. So they're saying they're talking about like the thing here. So let's see. You're ignoring a lot of factors that dramatically affect whether or not the killer loses the game doing it, and I have looped killers long enough to know that they lose the game going for me. Ping, I will be okay with telling me if they didn't place 100+ ping killers that didn't hit me while I'm already across the pallet. My ping typically is around 40. Any looping skills survivor have, and that's it. So we're crying about server issues now. So my thing is, right? My thing, here's my thing with complaining about this. Why does the killers then have to suffer because of the server? Like, they never say, hey, fix the server issues. They say, no. Take tunneling out. It's like, okay, but what about this? But you're just pointing out the servers are the issue. You're literally pointing that out. It says right here, like, ping. So why didn't you start off by saying it's a, I think the ping and the servers are a bit of an issue. That's what's kind of causing some pain points. But we have to also remember that ping is as applicable to both sides. There are times where you can either aim assist into something, it'll lag and say you didn't get your hit, it'll lag and say you got a hit, it'll lag and say you didn't get the hit. Like, ping applies to both sides. So like, why are we just crying about ping only? Oh, that's what's causing the tunneling to be a problem. Like, it's not 50-50s, which yes, you should do your best to avoid while being tunneled, but they absolutely will come up at some point. If the killer can't find a way to force a 50, even if it takes them a bit of time to do so, there's a skill issue on the killer's part. I mean, it's a skill issue on the survivor as well, though. It's both sides have to be good at the game. Lose it and you get hit down, win and the killer gets to try again, sometimes immediately. A survivor has the possibility of losing every 50-50 in a match. Were they a bad survivor? Did they get unlucky? I would say they're a bad survivor. Because at the end of the day, a 50-50 usually means that it's a filler. And if it's a filler, that means that it's supposed to be weak. It's on purpose. Stronger tiles are jungle gyms. Stronger tiles are the TNLs. Stronger tiles are the shack. There's other things in the, even main buildings have strong tiles. Like they're strong in general. Main buildings are strong. So yes, it is a skill issue, because at the end of the day, why are we crying about 50-50s when these are things that are supposed to be weak? That's the purpose of them. Makes no sense. Which killer? I get tunneled out by a trapper. Probably skill issue on a survivor. Get tunneled by a nurse or blight. Guess I'll just die. Hey, that's how the cookie crumbles, bro. Unfortunately. Now the thing is that my issue is when it comes down to if it's nurse or blight, right? Because they like to say that, oh, it's killer sided because of 2 killers out of like 45 of them or 47 of them. And it's like, no, 2 killers are not going to define the whole side. But the fact of the matter is, survivor is consistent across the board. You can run the same exact perks on any survivor in any team, and they will consistently be able to gen rush and have 2-minute games, 3-minute games. And obviously, even with the 1, 2, 3, 4 like bug or whatever it is that's making gens complete in half the time, that can be done with any survivor. So this is why I lean towards the idea that it is very survivor favored, because survivors are essentially skins of one another, while killers actually have different abilities. So just because you go against Nurse or Blight all the time doesn't mean that it's killer sided. It just means that there might be a bigger issue within the game that is causing the pick rate to be so high for this. And then it leads to more gen rushing, which leads to more Blight, which leads to more gen rushing, which leads to more Blight. It's an endless cycle of S tier because of gen rush because of S tier because of gen rush, and it keeps going and going and going. DBD is played largely around a tunnel out, and despite the claims to the contrary, most matches end in 3 or 4. Now this is just anecdotal. This is anecdotal because personally, when I have watched comp, I've seen people walk out with 1K, 2K all the time. So I don't see 3s and 4s. Like I this is not a thing. And then they want to say, sure, seems like they can't loop long enough. And it's like, but there's different rules. There's rules to this shit. Like, there's rules to this shit. You realize that, right? Like, you can't bring comp into this when comp has a rule set of these maps can only be played with these killers. These perks cannot be used twice. These perks cannot be used on killer. These perks cannot be used on survivor. You can't use this. You can't use that. You can't have this. You can't have that. That's incorrect. You can't compare those two. You can't, because those are two completely different games. So this is a non point, but they love to say this. They like to say, if the only way you can pressure is by shoving out a weaker link as fast as possible, that's an inability to engage with the game the way it's designed to be played, which is directly untrue and incorrect, because by the same, like, you have to remember that the killer's job is to kill, right? So if you're killing faster, that's literally you doing your objective. That's what killing is. You're a killer. You're killing survivors. That's your job. So by somebody dying quickly, that's literally just them doing their jobs. The same side of the coin is, if the only, like, let's flip it around. Let's say the only way you can pressure is by shoving out the gens as fast as possible. That's an inability to engage with the game as the way it's designed to be played. You should be able to get into chase with the killer at least once. But then the survivors will cry and say, "Oh, we're just doing the objective." It's the same thing for tunneling, bro. If you're the weakest link, be self-aware and go, "Damn, like, I probably need to get better at the game." So I'm just saying. This is a good one. Besides the ones you have oversimplified, which perks are in play, what killer it is, playstyle of survivors, is anyone body blocking, when and how is a survivor getting unhooked? Off the top of my head, very true. People, oh, this might be interesting. People make this statement because it's 100% true. If a survivor can take the killer on an extended chase, they're good at looping, it makes tunneling far less of an effective strategy. If you want us to show how well tunneling works against really good loopers, please go ahead and post some of video and I would gladly admit you are right. That's very true. But the thing is, when they cry and complain about these things, they never have video evidence of these things. They don't have data to prove these things. They don't have it. All they have is feelings and anecdotal, right? Now, when we're talking about topics like these, you have to understand that this is a game of nuance, right? And all we can really do is provide the best we can from behavior provided data and evidence that we have collected from ourselves, you know, even nightlight and things like that. We can use those things to at least give us a better opportunity to show the perspective we're trying to convey. Now, the fact of the matter is, we're using just basic logic and these arguments are falling apart, because the fact of the matter is, if the survivor is not going down, therefore the killer cannot get pain res or pop or surge or any form of slowdown. They cannot get them on a hook, therefore pulling people off the gens. And for some reason, that just goes into one ear and out the other with these people. And I don't know why. It's very logical. If if the killer is not on you, you can do the objective. It's very easy to like do that. I don't understand why that's such a foreign concept. And then this person right here is incredibly based. It goes, you cannot be in 4 places at once. The pressure from tunneling comes from the weak link who is unable to loop. But the mindset is bad killer instead of bad survivor. I agree. Why is it so crazy to say that, maybe I should get better at a game? Like, what are we doing? So all this person is concerned with, because we've seen this before, they just keep saying, oh, well, get good at looping. It's massively feel helpful. I'm like, but it directly answers your complaint. Because like the killer needed to down you in order for them to get the pressure. So if you're not getting down, they can't get the pressure. It's very duh, like you would think, you know what I mean? But no, I agree with this person too. They said, I'm talking about the middle 80% of players, not the ones on the extreme side of being really good or really bad. Using comp leaks to generalize about the player base is extremely flawed. I've also agree with that, and I want to add on the fact that comp is a completely different game as a whole because of how many rules they have. They have rules, like they have maps that are very specific to certain killers. You can't bring duplicate perks or stuff like that. You can't bring certain perks. You can only, like, if they pick a killer, they have to pick a certain map, like I've just stated. Even in I think it was like Japanese comp, they had a completely different meta, and also they made it so that if you run totems, they can't break them for like 60 seconds of the match starting. Like that's not something that's accurate to the regular game. And then this person says, you cannot be using that as an example. Those guys have their own rules and restrictions. That's exactly what I said. For example, as far as I know, Myers plays only on Hawkins in their sets. If anything, it shows that tunneling is a necessity at that level. Also, they switch sides, so it's not even comparable to normal DBD. DBD League has a no restrictions night where survivors is absolutely demolished with a slippery meat build. Thank you. Like, I'm glad that they're level-headed people in here. Like, they're like soldiers in the midst of the battle, you know what I mean? And we're just like looking at spectators, you know, within this. So now, of course, they're gonna start crying and saying, "Oh, well, they're getting tunneled out." It's like, okay, that doesn't mean anything. And then they want to say, "Oh, you're moving the goalpost." Like, no, you're not addressing the actual. Like, they're responding to what you said. Now it's moving a goalpost because they have no response. They have no response. That's why they like to do that. So that's why I'm like, yeah, they can't handle logic. So this person says, what? You shouldn't be a better player to beat the bad player. You don't need to be the best looper in the world to loop a noob for 5 gens, just better. Yeah, the skill floor is lower for the killer than survivor, but that's not a problem except regarding matchmaking. Yeah, that's how it goes, unfortunately. And this person says, comp has restrictions on the killer, and survivors know exactly which killer on which map they're facing. It's not perfectly comparable to public, but these survivors don't do good tunnel. Okay, and then they don't. Like, it doesn't really matter. If looping could stop that, like people like that claim here, they wouldn't be tunneled out. So this person's big soapbox point is, oh, ping sucks and I don't like getting tunneled out, so therefore remove. It's like, okay, but it's the most efficient strategy. It's literally the objective being done, and the equivalent is gen rushing, right? The reason that people even tunnel in the first place is because of the gen speed. So if the gen speed were slowed down, they probably wouldn't have to tunnel as much at all, especially the average player. It just wouldn't have to. But in order to keep up with gen rushing, you have to use strategies like tunneling. You have to get somebody out of the game fast because the gens are getting done fast. There's only 5. So what are you gonna do? And instead of saying ping is more detrimental, how about saying your teammates are dramatically more detrimental to survivors in the game than killers? Because it's true. If you have bad teammates, that's their own skill issue and they suck. And they need to get better at the game. And what's so funny is like everyone's in La La Land apparently when they play Survivor, because I've seen streamers where like they are like just absolute. Well, I can't say streamers. I've seen like one clip where this like streamer was so confused and lost that their teammate died, despite the fact that the HUD shows who's in chase and who has hook states. They looked over like they were literally looking at the goddamn screen, running into God knows where, and then they go, "Wow, why? How are they dead already?" It's like, look at the goddamn HUD. Like, why are we not looking at the goddamn screen? Like, what are we doing? Ooh, I'm gonna love this one. This one looks really good. It says, the most important aspect of playing Survivor is understanding your agency, its limits, and how best to utilize it. You cannot control your teammates any more than you can control the killer, but you can improve in ways that offset any deficit of the impact their agency has on their own. Damn, this is a lot of information. Holy shit. I'm gonna skim it real quick and I'll give you guys like a little bit of a synopsis, because this is a lot, but but I do agree with a lot of this. This is a good point. It says the 1v1v1v1 comment can irreparably damage how people look at the survivor role, and the way MMR was implemented basically amplified it. There are next to no new rewards for playing as an actual team player instead of improved likelihood of survival. Therefore, when people feel like there's no chance of survival, they want to get into a match where they do more than they do even finish the match that they're still in. Playing a losing match removes a lot of the incentivization that is required for teamwork to even function at this format, so it becomes defeatism. It's very true. And ooh, I like this one. It says, think of stuff like Soulsborne's games, where the entire premise is for the game to be unfair and forgiving until you develop the skills and experience to be able to breeze through those things that hard lock you for hours, days, weeks, etc. You can't go in to tinker with the rules of the game, move encounters around, or curate elements of the games to make them more reasonable. Your only recourse is to improve and utilize everything you can, rely on the agencies of others to offset your own failures, co-op, or just give up and move on. The games still resonate with people in an age where most games are mostly just delivery devices to feel good chemicals for your brain. That's exactly what my standpoint on it is. That's exactly where I'm coming from when I talk about this, because this is literally the exact thing that I'm discussing when talking about this, is because for some reason trying to improve at a game is like this foreign concept to these people, and I really don't understand, because it's like Killer's entire existence is all about improvement. Like when you start playing a killer, you're not going to know what the heck to do. You're not going to know what their powers do. You're not going to know how they work, and you don't even know what they do on different maps. But the more you learn those things, the killer gets better and better for you, because you can use the tools given to you in more effective ways and in more unique ways. And even more expanded on that, Soulsborne games are incredible for that, because it's all about using what you have and improving at your skill with those things. And I've always thought that was I've always thought Soulsborne games are incredible. So it's great, man. But let's continue. So this is once again another survivor, like the same survivor main from before, which is just illogical. So it says, the way that I see it only works because it lets us killer skip the parts of the game that require actual map. No, it's not. No. That they don't play. I get it. They don't play killers, so they have no idea what they're talking about. No, that you're not skipping anything. Like it's honestly, it's what do you call it, bro? You're not really skipping anything. You're more so trying to circumvent the weaknesses of your character. Like, especially if you're playing Pig, Ghostface, Skull Merchant, Trapper. It's to supplement the weaknesses, because you are playing a character with no map traversal. You cannot teleport, you cannot fly, you cannot sprint, you cannot run, you cannot like jump, you can't do anything to like zoom across quick. So the only other option is like, well, I have to kill somebody quickly so that I have more time, because if I go and chase a brand new person from scratch, I'm gonna not only like lose it like 2 gens, but I'm also gonna have a person that's healed up already, and there's no guarantee that the person I'm chasing is going to even guarantee a down. Like, there's no guarantee. But at least if you know, like, if this person already has a hook state and I can get them down, it'll be way more beneficial to me for someone to be closer to death than one person fresh, 3 gens left. It's like, I don't have enough time. It's a shortcut. Like, no, it's not. When I faced Nurse and Blight that forced me out at 5, it just shows that they don't want to interact with the game flow, just secure for the win from the start. Which, that's a case by case. Like, some people play Blight and Nurse because they actually enjoy playing the characters. Some people just like to win their games and they do that. Or they probably are not really having a good time playing other killers and they want to get some wins in. You know what I mean? That is a reality. That is something that people do. But that's a fault really of the characters balance, like those two characters balancing more so than it is with the strategy itself. That's not, you're really focusing on the wrong things. But that's the thing with Survivor mains. They think, oh, skill issue, but it's like maybe hold up a mirror and say that, because you still die to that. Like it's going, like you're not gonna just like lose to Blight that easily, bro. Depending on how good the Blight is. If it's an average Blight, I don't imagine that they're gonna be that amazing unless you make a mistake. And I've gone against Blights before. I've been able to survive, like, you know what I mean? But it's also anecdotal, right? And it's also skill at the end of the day. Like I can go against, depending on the level of the Blight, I probably can hold my own for a good amount of time. What goalpost is about telling and looping is directly involved and perks are directly involved. Exactly. Yo, it's so true. I love this comment. It says, I think a lot of Survivor players are under the mistaken assumption that the point of looping is a guaranteed escape from the chase and trial, when the point is to buy the team more time to work on the gens and open gates. You're not playing an action adventure game. You're not the invincible hero. Learn to loop. That's exactly what I was saying. Oh, it is. Oh, yes. I like this one too. It says, do you believe all killers are equally able to achieve the necessary map pressure reasonably and reliably enough? Do you believe that they are always able, disregarding extremes like pallet density back and forth, to do so on an adequate level, regardless of their opponents or the game around them? This is why the best solution is equal parts carrot and stick. Sometimes it's a shortcut, other times it's a necessity. The game is not static enough for such a distinction, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The most effective way to correct over-reliance, while not only improving gameplay variety but expanding on it, is to both make it less desirable and its healthy alternatives more viable simultaneously. Those types of changes essentially function kind of like, I don't know what sluice gates. Oh, it says redirecting water, as they are much more effective at doing so with coordinated utilization. So that's pretty good. I agree with this. In regards to the suggestion to improve, how that gets taken is up to us in the end. Even if they mean it as a mockery or dismissal, it is still good advice utilizing one's own agency instead of being bothered by it. Think of it like the time of day of a broken clock is right. Yeah, that is perfectly well said. That is exactly what I had in mind, honestly, when discussing this, is the idea that it is not impossible if you know what you're doing. It's not impossible, because think about it, right? Mr. Taterhead's channel exists, providing the most detailed guides for every map and how to utilize your area and your surroundings the best of your ability. And multiple killer channels, even like my own, that have provided guides, that have provided educational information, have provided ways to counter what survivors do as a killer player, and other things like that. The fact of the matter is, improving at the game for some reason culturally is more acceptable in the killer community than it is in the survivor community. And that's even evident in the survivor content that we see. It's all about like brain rot, sound effects, quick edits, memes, making fun of the killer. And it's like, when you look at killer content, it's like, okay, I did this, so you know, here's my explanation of why I made this move. Here's this tech that you probably haven't seen before. I'm using this ability this way. You probably haven't seen that before. I broke the pallet on this side. Here's why. I did this on this map. Here's why. I used it on this. Here's why. More times often than not. Now, are there probably brain rot like killer like videos? Maybe. You know, I haven't personally seen it in my time perusing the interwebs, but either way, that's just how it goes. Not the OP coming in here saying they're not understanding you can be the best looper, still get tunneled, like, but yet they don't. Just crying about tunneling doesn't mean shit. I do enjoy the tunneling is bad posts. The means to counter it are there. Learn to loop, learn to lose line of sight, learn to stealth, learn to make better decisions when in chase, run away from the gens, generally learn to play. So many people have this one track mindset of survival role of loop, 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 and when it fails, they throw a tantrum and say there is no counter. Let me fill you in on a little secret. There's more to playing Survivor than looping. You don't have to get chased at all if you play it right. It's very true. It's very true. So, and here's why I know this person right here is very disingenuous, because they go, yeah, I see rad gameplay all the time, and then they hate seeing it, but that's directly to the counter to tunneling as well. I've had many situations where I've needed to tunnel somebody out, and they would stealth. They would not be spotted. they would know I would come because probably they had a call out or they had some form of aura reading or something like that. They would know I was gonna come, and then they would just hide somewhere. They would like know, they would be the best at hiding to make sure that I could not apply that additional pressure. And I think the fact of the matter is the people that are good at this game are not going to be going around and crying in forums. That's probably why we don't really see people actually discussing the counters. But I've seen it personally because I've faced it, and I go, yeah, that's pretty strong. Like, they know how to counter it. So once again, more survivor remain crying. So they say, you're describing exactly why tunneling is a shortcut. Calling it optimal is a nice way of admitting it replaces real decision making. So instead of acknowledging what these people are saying, they just want to cry and make up narratives. Like, this is what I'm talking about. They're saying it replaces real decision making. It's so mindless. It's like, but isn't it also decision making on the survivor's end to know where to go? That's already number one. Two, it is decision making on the killer because they need to keep in mind who has the most amount of hooks at this point. How long can I chase this person before they go down? Has this person been pretty good in chase? If so, I'm gonna have to probably break off soon if I'm not able to down him fast enough. And how many gens do I have left, considering I'm like, you're losing 2 a chase because of how fast these gens have been flying lately. This is a good one. It says the problem is that the survivor win con is a personal escape, and this imaginary badge of honor people want you to accept for getting your teammates out is supposed to be enough, even though all you get is MMR loss and another death on your record, no matter how great you are. Even more frustrating when it was a hard tunnel because you know it could have been a 4 escape. Meanwhile, someone with a hatch offering can rat and locker, get no MMR loss, and escape on their personal stats while it being skillless. The game doesn't properly reward survivors for skill. I 100% agree with that, and I think that's why there's such a massive ego from a lot of survivor players that are entitled like this, because they think that they're good at the game. They think that they're doing something. They think that they are better than they really are when the game holds their hand all this time. Like, they just are able to get all these free escapes because of these things. And it's like, maybe let's take a look and put a spotlight on people that are genuinely skillful. Mr. Taterhead, perfect example. And I've even learned how to play in loop from him as well, right? And unfortunately, Survivor just does not require you to really be good at that side all the time, because people can rat and still get out. They can still gen rush and still get out. Like, they don't have to interact with the killer, but the killer has to interact with the survivors. So it says exactly, skill is not always a requirement. If it was, it would mean the only real good skillful loopers get rewarded, because it takes 0 skill to rat out the match of winning gens, and 0 skill actually doing gens of the pro loopers showcasing their skills. Very true. The debate on if the game is casual or comp is never ending. Should it be casual where skill isn't required? It should be comp where you get rewarded for your skills. On the flip side, it could be seen as killer spreading hooks, still winning is skillful, but it's only a skill killer shows 0 skill. Should be the game be skill based, which pushes a competitive nature, or be casual where skills are not required to win. That's exactly why I say that the survivor logic like this is very flawed, because they will say that, oh, tunneling is 0 skill, but then if you spread hooks and get no kills, you still lost as a killer. So then it's like what is the point of counting the hooks if you get 0 kills and they still get back to the gate? So what, like, they're never satisfied. So I scrolled around and I found another one, which, shout out to the little Ghostface icon there. It says, what do you mean for no reason? Talking about the original post. The match can potentially be over in less than 4 minutes from the start. What is the majority of you guys just ignoring critical details like completion speed? The way you feel about fabricated cope concepts doesn't matter more than what's fair. I agree with that. I agree with that. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it off here. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, subscribe to all YouTube things. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and consider supporting the channel by becoming a member, either on Patreon or YouTube, to have access to a bunch of content you're not going to see on the channel normally. And of course, you can support me directly, and let me know what you guys thought. I'll see you guys in the next one. You can also have your name right off at the end of every video. I forgot to mention that. We'll see you guys in the next one. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, N Dyer, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, Hex Death, and Crow Vader. And for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _ Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _ Lovely Ghost TTV, Jar TTV, Zazabu, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks, as well as the other perks you get. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.